Daily Broadside, day 456. Gotta tell you, it's been a lot of driving today. Left Scranton early this morning, made it to Albany, and I gotta say, Albany was fascinating. Now, I was a little bit screwed over by the holiday because I didn't get to go up into the Erasmus Corning building and see the observation deck, and a couple of little things were shut down. But man, the architecture in the Empire Plaza, unbelievable. One of the biggest buildings in the world, basically, and just the way that I'm just a sucker for architecture. I love it's like quasi like brutalist architecture, that Twin Towers like decor, where everything's just really plain and concrete and exposed steel and everything. But it's awesome, and everything is on this like bed of rock and marble and everything. You can drive under it. Fascinating how it is. So I'm talking to this dude down at the USS Slater destroyer. It was a escort destroyer. It's not a real destroyer, but I'm down there talking to one of the electricians who was down there volunteering his time, and I said, this is a beautiful city, and he looks me dead in the eye. He's like, I've never heard anybody say that about Albany. And so I started then, that was my entrance to start talking about the architecture, and he's looking at me like I got four heads. He's like, all right, thanks, but nice guy, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he appreciated it the way I appreciated it, but nevertheless, pretty cool. So then I take off, I'm heading out through Vermont, New Hampshire, and there's nothing in New Hampshire, by the way, in case anybody was wondering. New Hampshire is a lot like Arkansas, but hillier and prettier, but still nothing to look at. I mean, you can't even see anything off the highways. It's not like riding through the Ozarks or anything, but still stopped at Vermont in a couple places and whatnot, and now I find myself in Portland, Maine, which to me is very reminiscent of Seattle, another port city, just not as tall. Obviously Seattle's a much bigger city, and what the buildings are way taller and all that, but I just had some phenomenal seafood right there on one of the little wharfs, in the Old Port neighborhood, walking around, taking in the sights and smells and whatnot. Got a full day of crap to do here tomorrow, but really cool town. So this is the first time I've ever been in Maine, and I've been in Alaska and Washington State, but I guess this would be the third highest longitude line that I've been in and all. But really cool state. It's never what you expect it to be. It's just really, it's interesting when you see these places for yourself and all. But anyway, what are you gonna do? I think if you're gonna write a song about gonorrhea, no questions asked, if that's what your goal is with your band, you got to include some clapping. I just don't see how you get around that, not doing it that way, any other way. And little known fact, as of this morning, I have a bet with someone that I can't take because up in like the Dakotas and all, if one of your livestock, if your horse dies, you just basically throw it out behind the barn, and it just freezes, and then you bury it in the spring when everything thaws out, because you really have no other option, because there's like 9 feet of snow on the ground, and the ground is hard as Portland cement. And so I have a standing bet now with someone that I could get it set on fire. I could burn a frozen dead horse with diesel fuel and a boring bit on a hammer drill or something. So once I figure out the logistics of how I'm going to win that bet, that $40 is mine. Hey, kitty.